Welcome to the Deepak Saini Show.
He said he gon' huff and puff and blow my mind up. You meet the island girl, she might dirty wine up.
Welcome to the Deepak Saini Show. I'd like to thank J23 for the intro music. You can find a link to her music in the show description. My guest today is Rich Kozak. Rich is the voice of impact-driven branding. After 47 years defining and launching brands, he founded Rich Brands specifically to serve heart-centered entrepreneurs and professionals. At Rich Brands, he guides individuals in elevating their unique gifts so their brand makes higher level impacts. Today, Rich guides and mentors individuals in all 7 steps of impact-driven branding, which we'll get to a little bit later. Rich, welcome to the Deepak Saini Show.
Deepak, it's great to be here. I love what you stand for. We've had some wonderful discussions before the recording, so let's get going.
I know I was thinking as we were talking, I was like, I should have hit the record button just to have it, and we could maybe blend some of that in. But anyway, I digress. Rich, pleasure to have you here. I like to start with going way back. Like, how does one get into whatever their thing is? How did you get into branding? Like, feel free to go back as far back as you want.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm age 13 and I say to my dad, Dad, I want to make some, hey Dad, I want to make some money. And he goes, paint my house. And I'm like, what? Yeah. He says, my house needs painted. If you learn how to paint a house, he says, I'll buy all the stuff you need. You could even paint other people's houses and make more money than you would. And this is Pennsylvania. You got to have working papers and you're 13. So you can't, forget it, and I'm like, okay. So thank goodness we painted our house and some other professor's house. My dad was a professor. And then I started talking to other professor friends of his, and they said, well, I need my house painted. And then I started hiring my friend. So at 14, 15, 16, I had created a painting company, and I made business cards, and I put an ad then in the local paper. And okay, so whether it was a painting company or somebody said, hey, you want to sing in our rock band? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And we create a logo for the band and the name of the band. And then I'm booking bands and fraternities. And I create a booking agency. And then it's like from the very beginning, it was like, if I say, well, I can make something out of that. And then, so I'm creating and languaging brain. So when it came time to go into college, I had to pick a major, and I picked marketing because it seemed to be most, I couldn't spell it, but anyway, well, it turns out I ended up on the board of directors of the American Marketing Association. So I ended up being able to spell it. But what happened in the interim was I dropped out of college to play in a rock band and tour the East Coast, and did that for several years, and then came back to college, got my degree in marketing, and decided I was going to learn on somebody else's dollar. So I went Fortune 50. This is a wide gamut of life. Okay. Now, so I do that and I study marketing, and I told them, look, I want international. I want to go international. So, wow, they're grooming me to be an international person, and, and everything's working. But after a few years of being in a Fortune 50 company, I couldn't envision my success there. I couldn't get excited about that particular job or that particular position. It's like, I don't think I belong here. So we chose to part ways. And at the time I did that, I happened to be the incoming president of the American Marketing Association in Southern California because I'd been involved in activities outside of my work. And so I had this phenomenal year creating 38 different programs and talking to all the people who are in marketing in Southern California, heavyweights, and then celebrating, happened to be our 50th anniversary year, which is one of the reasons I stayed in Southern California. So it's like, and while I'm doing that, somebody who was president of the Marketing Association also ran a high-tech ad agency. And he said, hey, I want you to come and work for me. And I'm like, advertising. That's the one thing I don't. No, you got to come and see what I'm talking about. This is business to business. So I end up becoming the vice president, an executive vice president with my friend of his, let's call it an integrated marketing communications firm. Okay. So we help people do everything from writing speeches for the president down to email campaigns, from creating collateral material, brochures, and to launching public relations articles on their new tech product. It's like, it was comprehensive. And we became partners in a partnership worldwide. So I had partners in 21 countries. We trained on global branding. I sat on global brand teams. I'm a certified global branding It's like grew. So the irony is, to answer your question, if you asked me in high school, hey, what do you want to do? I'd say, well, I want to do everything, man. And I was doing everything. I was playing the orchestra. I was playing on the tennis team. I was going to the East Coast Model United Nations, directing the school play, taking advanced placement course, whatever I wanted to do. Like I was doing it. I want to do everything. And I want to travel the world. I want to bite everything. And they'd say, well, what do you want to be? And I'd go, wow, has the sun been out there? I mean, I had no idea what I wanted to be. And what did I become? A global branding consultant that counsels companies what they must become to be successful at their business strategy. Think about that. The irony of that has never eluded me. So how did you get in branding? You heard it. I've always had an understanding for if you can see it or see where it can go, you can become it or you can create it. It took me decades before I realized that I thought it was my skill, Deepak. It's a gift.
A gift, yeah.
And I thank God for it every morning. When I meet someone, I'm a heart connector. And I listen to the impacts they want to make on others through their work or their gift or their calling. And I start getting pictures of what that looks like. And what I know is that when you get really clear about the impacts you really want to make, you can define the brand you must become to make them.
Love that.
And everything you say and do after that aligns with those impacts. That moment, that aha moment. So I used to do it with big companies, and it's different because it's about marketing and market share and money and, but with individuals, that individual, what I've learned, people have in their heart the desire to make impacts on others. I mean, some people do and some people don't, or they haven't gotten to that point yet. But for the ones who do, and an increasing number of us do, and I'm literally going to say there are millions of deeply experienced people who own their own business, or they highly paid employees, or they are professionals of some kind, and they've been making success for a while, and they know there's more. They know they're not done, but they don't know how to get to that higher level. They don't know how to define it and name it and get credit for it. And those are the people who go, when they realize
Right.
there's this umbrella brand they can define that doesn't pigeonhole them, but that literally lets them step into their highest level impacts and highest level possibilities. And so, got into branding by picking marketing and, and being successful and creating things that didn't exist, like programs and uplifting people. And it's turned out that when I turned 50, I was like, I'm going to resign this addictive career. I'm doing all-nighters. I'm going to kill myself. Talking about, we heard health is huge to you, right? I was going, hey, you can sleep when you're retired. Boy, is that a stupid idea, by the way. If you ever had that, if you're listening to this and you ever had that idea, yeah, we'll sleep when we're retired. Stop it. Sleep now.
We'll come to some health questions later on, but I love that. I love that, Rich.
Anyway, so there's your
yeah, I just want to point out for the listener, if Rich's early story sounds familiar, I don't know exactly when this is going to come out, Rich, in relation, but Steve Cody's episode should have come out before yours does. And Steve Cody, he didn't paint houses; he started with window washing, like almost the same story. So if there sounds some similarities, people, hey, it's starting your own business early. Sounds
Steve and I should have been joint venture partners because I was making the windows dirty. I'm the one that was scraping the stuff, and
Yeah, he's still doing it, so I can connect you guys if you want. But anyway, I digress. And I want to ask this question. So I came across some of your materials, and you have the saying, your brand has two choices: fail flat or come alive and attract.
Right.
So what do you mean by that?
Oh, it's very simple. If you describe to somebody what you do, and they go, "Oh, that's nice," it fell flat. Think of you go to a networking group or you're on a breakout in a mastermind or something and say, what do you do? And you go, well, and you try to explain. And they go, oh. Versus they go, whoa, wait, whoa. I want that. What is the Can I have your card? Okay, there's a difference in the energy transfer. There's a difference in the language because it transfers. And there's a difference that the language creates an intangible brand promise that's like, if you let this brand in, this can happen to you. And they're going like, oh, body intelligent yoga? I don't know. I've been doing yoga for, I want that. What is that? It doesn't matter whether it's, a bookkeeping that connects you to the ability for your business to create millions. Bookkeeping. Yeah, she's an expert at the tech and accounting decisions required for your business to reach millions. When she's speaking, it's like how you say those things either comes alive and transfers energy and creates a magnet or not. And the point is, most brands, and if you're listening to this right now, I'm talking to you, whether you run a $14 billion company or you're a solopreneur, most brands fall flat.
Rich, I go to a lot of networking events. I meet a lot of people, etc. There's certainly those like, oh, okay, that's nice. But more often than not, I'm like, I have no idea what you said, or I have no idea, like what you said too many things. I'm confused at what you do now. I actually find that more actually, honestly.
And so I will honor your point. You can write these things down. There are 6 negative consequences that you will experience if you do not clearly define and language your brand. Confusion, misinformation. You don't get credit for what makes you outstanding. You waste a lot of money and say the marketing didn't work. It wasn't the marketing that didn't work. Competitors get ahead of you and you run out of time. 6, when you define and language a brand so that it comes alive, and it has 4 things that make it come alive. There are 4. We can get it. We can talk about them if you want. Now it doesn't fall flat. Which one do you get to be? You get to be whichever one you choose.
Let's drop it and talk those 4. And I was just going to say, before you drop the 4, Rich, anyone you're listening, you're struggling, or maybe you're thinking your messaging, your branding's not on point, pause the recording, rewind, write down those 6 that Rich just said, and write down the 4 that he's about to say. All right, everyone, do that. Go ahead, Rich. What are the 4?
And I'll be as word parsimonious as I can. I'll use as few words as I can. Ready? 4 things your brand needs to come alive and attract. Number 1, and I'm talking about your brand, so you're listening, you're an individual. Congruence with your heart. If you try to do something that's not congruent with you, your values, the way you know life should be, what you believe, if you do something that's not congruent, or the way you do it is not congruent, people will smell it. It's disingenuous, and you will always be in conflict. Stop it. Number 1, congruence with the heart of the brand champion. And in that case, it's you. Number 2, consistency across the board. And I mean everything the brand says and does and looks and feels and shows up and it describes and what it says and what it, everything. Consistency. Why? Think about a person. You're about to hire somebody, and maybe you hire and you kind of hire them for a week. And one day they do it, and they do it, something one way. And you go, wow, that's pretty good. The next day they do it an entirely different way. And you go, why'd you change? They go, I don't know. And then the next day they do it in a different way. You have no idea what to expect. Do you trust them? No. Inconsistency destroys the ability to trust. It's like consistency builds trust. Brands are exactly that same way. When brands are consistent in how they show up, what they say, what they do, what they say they're going to do, and how they do, you learn to trust them. Number 3, unique language that transfers energy. You have to have both. It behooves you, it's in your best interest to use unique language. It doesn't have to be tricky. It literally can be a combination of English words that no one's ever heard. They know the words. You heard me use one before, body intelligent yoga. You know the word body, you know the word intelligent, and you know the word yoga. But you never heard them those 3.
No, I've never heard those 3 put together.
And you know why? Because we made it up. Because we're trying to position somebody who offers an integrative yoga program at 25 grand for a year. You're going to get Ayurvedic food choices. You can do meditations. You can do treatments that have proven for thousands of years to put you on your personal path of health. It's body intelligent yoga. It's like, oh, okay. So you can use regular English words. The point is, number 3 is unique language that transfers energy. When I'm teaching, we do a half day every month called Branding You with Impact. Make sure you go there, because in 1/2 a day, it will change the way you think about you and branding you. Seriously, God, that's why we do it every month. Just get your butt in there, and Deepak will show you how. Anyway, so an example I use in it is my own brand. So if somebody goes, Rich, oh, so you're branding consultant, what do you do? And if I say, well, I manage the iterative continuum of the 33 steps of the branding X. I'm going to put you to sleep. You're going to go like, what? But if I say, well, people say we put rocket fuel in their branding gas tank. Well, what the heck does that mean? You don't know. I don't know. But those words were way different in the way they transferred energy.
Right.
Than the 30, whatever I said about the continuum and it's like, holy mackerel. The energy was different and my body language is different. It's like, this guy's creepy. Number 4, and then I'll give you write this down, a summary, write this down. Number 4, must come alive. Consistent, first and continued impression, positive recognizability. The first time they see the brand, it's a positive sense, a positive feel. So let's say they see a logo, they see a business card, they see a testimonial, they go to the homepage of your website. First impression and ongoing impression, second impression is positive recognizability. Listen to the language. It's not like, oh, there's that stupid ad again. Not positive. We've all been there. It's like, oh my God, this stupid ad. You're not going to buy that insurance. You're not going to buy that program. You're not going to, because it's stupid. It's like, unless you feel so stupid about yourself that you think you should get that because you're stupid. I mean, that's just stupid. Sorry. But I got on a groove there. But no, it's positive ongoing recognizability. Because recognizability is a trademark. Recognizability is something you want people to know the source of the information or the product or the service or the heart or the whatever, and you want them to feel positive about it the first time they see it and the next time they see it. So positive ongoing recognizability. So those 4, let's hear them again. Ready? Number 1, congruence with the heart of the champion. So you're not in conflict and they can feel your heart. Number 2, consistency across the board. There's a reason that ads run hundreds and hundreds of times. How come they still run that same ad? Because they're getting known for what's in the ad. It's like, it's consistency. Right. Tony Robbins is known for, release the power within, but he does 150 types of things. But he's known for that. You've got to, there's a beachhead of how you get on people's minds and what they remember. Consistency across the board. Consistency of language, consistency of look, consistency of how you show up. How your posture, how if one time you speak a little mousy word, and the next time you speak, people are going to go, that's crazy. That boy, crazy. Okay. Number 3, unique language that transfers energy. And number 4, consistent, positive first impression and multiple impression, consistently positive recognizability. So here's what I want you to write down, other than those 4. The clarity with which your brand speaks shapes its impact. And there is 2 kinds of clarity. I've done this for 47 years, and most people don't teach the process of what makes a brand come alive and help people do that. They sell stuff. They sell marketing stuff, and they call it, this will be good for your branding, but they don't know branding. They can't explain what makes a brand come alive. They're into selling what they sell, but they'll use the word branding to hook you. That's the way the world is.
Right.
But having taught it for 47 years and explained to people who do not even know how to spell the word marketing and don't care, but they say, well, somebody told me to write a book and they knew a guy and they told me to talk to you. And I say, well, you know, you have two choices. I've got a book, or a book is a stake in the ground that moves a brand forward toward the direction your life gets to go. Which one is it going to be with you? Are you moving in a direction, or you just want a book? And they go, well, God told me there are people he wants me to touch and I just need to be myself. Okay, now we got something. So we create a brand that has a context, and we create the book to get to put a stake in the ground to move their brand forward. And that particular client is now the author of a series of books because that's what made sense for her brand.
Right.
You know, it's like everyone is uniquely different, but everyone can do this. Everyone. And we all get the beautiful thing, we're all made by the same God, and we all get in this life to make the most significant impacts that we can with the gifts we've been given. Sometimes it takes us a whole lifetime to find the gifts. Some people go to the graveyard without ever discovering or acknowledging or stepping into their gifts. I hope that's not you. But
Yeah,
if you're the
that's
one,
a shame. That's always a shame.
yeah, but if you're one that's like, you know what, I know there's more, but I don't have, or look, how do I take this to, this is really powerful. And it's steps. Branding is steps. It's just steps. And yeah, it's a blessing.
So, Rich, I mentioned at the top when I read your bio about the 7 steps to ensure your brand impacts people's lives and the world. Is this what we've just talked about, or is this something in addition to? Because if it's in addition to, I'd love you to talk about those 7 steps.
Well, the 7 steps are, we didn't talk about the language, but I will say that I will tell your listeners right now, if you email me, rich@richbrands.org, and just say one word, blueprint, I will send you a document that says, here's the 7 steps. And there's a page on each one of the steps that is me talking to you about what it means. Steps number 1 and 2, you can do with your eyes closed. So it's like, just send an email, rich@rich.
Well, hey, everyone, I'm going to do it, so you might as well do it too, everyone
That's
listening,
right.
for sure.
Okay, so and that's the basis of the book. It's impact-driven branding: 7 steps to ensure your brand impacts people's lives in the world. So, yeah, it is certain things that must occur. That when they do occur, everything lines up. You heard me say before that, you know, that after that point, everything aligns. Everything your brand says and does aligns. Like, how do you do that? You do it by defining and languaging the impacts you see making on the specific kinds of people that you really want to make. You don't have to, you might want to impact 50 kinds of people. You don't need 50 to do this work. You might, maybe 3, if they're very different, will get you the richness, no pun intended, of the language, so that everything the brand is saying and doing is getting you closer, faster to making those impacts. When people hear a brand that has a deep foundation of clarity, when they hear you speak with gravitas, with knowingness about what you're expert at, they know they're dealing with, it's magnetic. They know they're
Right.
dealing with someone who knows something they don't. So how do you get your brand, you, maybe it's you personally, it's you, Deepak, or it's Deepak, the visionary founder of the entity, you know, your life at a different level. You know, it's whatever. It could be you or an entity or both. How do you get your brand to resonate in the ears and the mind of a target audience member and attract them to you? You use the language that's in their head and bait your marketing hooks in your marketing language. It's what they're thinking. You use the words you must get credit for, the characteristics that they need to know your brand has, because those are the ones that are going to help them make their impacts. Those are the ones that are going to make the impacts on them that you clearly see making. And it's like, it's specific ways to say what your expertises are. That I have, you're a health guy. I have a brand. This is a fellow who, I have a client whose brand, it's a combination. He has brain training under Daniel Amen, as certified, you know, so he understands how you can train your brain and sharpen your brain. But he also represents a company that helps the human body produce more adult stem cells of our own in our bloodstream, because it's having adult stem cells in the bloodstream that you need when something needs repaired or rejuvenated or rebuilt in your body. Think managing aging,
Right.
and it's like it's looking for the stem cells, but if they're not there, guess what? And so he does both. And his number one category of expertise that he must get credit for before people will let the brand in and get going and realize he's the one is the man speaking at the Higher Level Life Conference next year is an expert at having a younger brain as you age. It's like, what? It's like counterintuitive. It's like body intelligent yoga. It's like, I never heard of that. Yeah, yeah. Well, you've got to say what you're expert at so that it transfers energy. It's compelling, and there's an intangible brand promise tucked into it,
Right.
and they want to know more, even if they go, "Wow, that I want that." Well, what is that? What is that? Anyway,
Rich, I'm gonna put you on the spot here on the recording. This person, you don't have to say their name right now. I would love an introduction. I'd love to have them on the podcast because we're that's right up my alley, right? Obviously, type of thing. So I'll circle back with you on that one afterwards. I want to ask I want to ask one more major question here before we kind of get to the wrap up here. And I guess you kind of alluded to it already, and maybe this question's a moot point now, but you kind of talk about getting credit for what makes you unique and outstanding.
oh, yeah.
Is that basically kind of what we're talking about, or is there a little bit more that we can go down that path?
Well, get it. So I'll put it in perspective. It is not getting credit for what makes you outstanding is one of the most common problems that individuals and big companies say they have. I can pull out my workbook that I use for my 1-day workshop intensive. It's called The Brand You Will Become: How to Define the Steps to Achieve It. And we have this workbook. And in the workbook, there's a whole page of 25 things that I've heard people say over the years. And it's not my language, it's their language. And number 3 of the top 10 is we're not getting credit for what makes us really outstanding. Often it's coupled with them saying these other people are getting credit. That guy's getting credit. That other lady's getting credit. And she's nowhere near as good at it as we are. There's this comparison, but
Right.
without that neener stuff in there. It's like, we're not getting credit. It's a very common thing. I literally had my $14 billion company client had 380 some verifiable experts in their areas of expertise. That's a lot. And they were whining that they weren't getting credit, that other people were getting articles, and then and we literally had to sit down with their C-level people and say, boys, there's a way to make sure you do get credit, and it's to take credit. So when you put language into the world, when you tell stories that you couldn't have told that story unless you were an expert or as you're telling the story, you mention the names of your expert. It's like, in order to get credit, you gotta take credit. And this is the internet world. So you can go from no credit to a lot of credit very quickly without boasting and feeling like you're doing
Right.
what your mom said. Don't brag. It's like, it's just part of the process. And it is a missing piece. So when we do categories of expertise to define what your expertises are that you must get credit for to make your impacts, we create crafted language that's unique so that nobody can say, oh yeah, that's what Frank does. Oh yeah, Deepak does that. Deepak does that. He does that. Yeah. Oh no, Shirley, I have a cousin who does that or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
real estate. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, no.
I was just going to say, like, depending on the context, I hear that a lot. Everyone's got a real estate agent or a mortgage broker and whatever
Financial advisor.
financial advisor on speed dial, right?
Yeah. Insurance sales. Yeah. So it's same thing. You say it in ways that are unique and transfer energy and that begin to position you so that you get credit for what makes you outstanding. And you do it without bragging. You do it based on who you are and the impacts you clearly see making. This process makes you totally in touch with your own authenticity. you never feel like you're doing anything that's not you. It's not like branding. A lot of people think branding is slapping some, trick name and, uniform on you that you have to become. It shouldn't have to be that way. You should be able to become the brand you must become to make the impacts you clearly see and really want to make. And you can. It's just the process. And that's a good thing. So yeah, it is getting credit for what makes you outstanding is one of the mandatory outcomes. It's one of the purposes, but it's also one of those 25 things that people say they wish. Here's the other ones.
Right.
We need better ways to say what we do. We're not growing fast enough. We don't know how to position ourselves to charge what we're worth. There's all these things. Everybody's going like, yeah, oh yeah, that's mine. We tell the top 10 in the half day and go pick your top 3. And frankly, next week they'll be different, but that's okay. What are your top 3 right now? Because everybody's got these. The point is they go away. When you clearly, with deep clarity, define in language the brand you must become, all those minimize and go away. Whoa. Well.
Awesome. So a couple last questions to wrap up here. So I know we talked about this before we hit the record button, but for the audience, what does your morning routine look like?
Thank you. Well, I'll give you a before and after. Before I hired a beast mode coach, when I went up to him at a cocktail party and said, dude, that's a great Italian suit, fits you like a tailored, oh my God, you have the body that my wife wishes I had. And I was joking. I mean, I wasn't joking. I was telling the truth, but I was just, open and he looks at me and he goes, I can help you with that. He was a life coach who had brought himself back from a heart attack and had put himself in phenomenal shape. And now he helps other people train in NLP. So he's taking me through the NLP breakthrough process. And I'm like, I know what you're doing because I'm certified in NLP. I said, I know what you're doing. He goes, I know, but let's do this. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, before I would get up and get to work, like if somebody wanted to do a podcast, I did one at 5:45 this morning. And that was rare. I usually don't start until 8. But I would do it any time of the day, and I would always prioritize business. And then if I got around to taking care of my body, okay. But if not, it's like, hey, it's about business. And he said, look, you're going to have to change that. And so before it was like, I would get up, whatever, I'd get to work, I'd come in here early, I'd get to work. I'd feel like I was getting an edge on the day. The routine now is I wake up at 5. I go and turn on the infrared sauna, because it 8 health benefits, including, killing weak cells like cancer, but all kinds of health benefits and detox and everything. And I turn on the infrared sauna. I read my Bible. I do my devotional. I make coffee for my wife. I do exercises, usually lower body exercise and breathing exercises to get my body going. And then I get in the sauna by 6. I'm in there for 45 minutes to an hour. I walk with my wife at 7 o'clock. We have a 2-level thing where I have to go down the steps, around the garden area, through the trees, and up the steps and around the pool and down. 22 times is 20 minutes. We walk. I come in. I take a shower. I'm here at my desk on Zoom by 8.
I love it. I love that morning routine. I love the sauna. People have heard me talk about it before. I have one in my own home as well. Love that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. It could be health related.
You didn't ask me how old I was, but I guess we don't have to go there, right?
Well, I asked you beforehand. If you want to share, you can share. I'm not going to ask on the podcast.
Oh, okay. I want to get to 30, but right now I'm at 70. It's like I want to go the other way. Okay. And
that's what I'm doing, and that's what I work on with my clients, getting them go the other way. So
right on. Okay.
Let me ask you this question. It could be health related or it could be business related. So I'll let you choose. What do you wish you would have started earlier, or what would you like to tell your younger self?
Sleep is really important. It's super important. I had to go through a sleep study to find out what real great sleep really is. And now I get it every night, but I wasn't before and I had no idea. And it can kill you if you don't get it. It can take years off your life. So that's one thing. And the other is prioritize you before you prioritize business.
Love it. I preach the same thing. I love that, Rich. Do you have a gift for the listeners? Would you like to describe what that is for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to our website, richbrands.org, right above the fold on the homepage, it offers two gifts. And one you might expect, maybe not, but the other most people don't. So I've been in this business a long time. I've been literally defining language and banks for 47 years. And on the homepage above the fold at richbrands.org, it says, talk to Rich for 30 minutes. I have people, my colleagues, who say, like, dude, you've been doing this 47 years. You should be on a yacht or on a beach. Hear me. I'm on Zoom. So if I'm on Zoom and you can talk to me for free, get your butt on my calendar and tell me about what you see your impacts are. Ask me your struggle questions. Ask me your challenges. That's what I'm there for. It's not my choice. I mean, I get to do this work. Who shows up is not my choice. If it's you that shows up, then I'm supposed to talk to you.
Hey, I didn't know that was the gift, folks. I'm gonna take advantage of that for sure. Absolutely. And I bet, and I have to, if I had to guess, my team members and the people who edit this podcast, they're going to be doing the same thing as well. So
Beautiful.
that's very generous. That's very
There's another
generous.
gift there, and it says, get your free branding FAQ, straight talk branding FAQ videos. So there's, I think it's like 18 minutes. And you say, hey, I want them, and you give us an email, we send you a link, and you download them, and you watch these videos. It answers basic frequently asked questions about branding, and you want those answers, and you need those answers. So get them. That's free. It's free. And it's straight talk. You see, if you go out there in the world and if you Google branding, you're going to find all kinds of tricky talk as if you need gurus and, you need a micro niche and you need this and you need that. And there's very little straight talk. Well, we specialize in straight talk you can trust and deep experience you can count on. So frankly, those are two really good gifts. And if you don't think they're good gifts, maybe someday you will. What can I say?
No, those are fantastic. Yes, fantastic gifts. So, Rich, you've dropped so much wisdom and golden nuggets already. And people, if that went fast, listen again, watch again, write those things down. But I do want to give you the chance. Is there one last words of wisdom or golden nugget you'd like to drop before we wrap it up for today?
Absolutely. I have presented my entire life. I was the ad agency, pitch guy. I've been president of the American Marketing Association. I've been on boards. Here it is. Speak from your heart. You have a choice. You could be in your head, what should I say? How should I say it? How do I come across it? No. Speak from your heart. And
I'll add on to that. I'm sure this is what you actually mean as well, Rich. Not just in business, but in everyday life. Always speak from your heart.
Yeah.
Personal relationships, everything.
That authenticity, that genuineness, that who you really are. Life is a team sport. We're not here to do this alone. So posturing and, trying to be perfect or trick, just be you and speak from your heart,
I love it. That's fantastic. Rich, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the Deepak Saini show here. Fantastic interview. I loved it. Thank you very much.
It was fun for me too, and I knew we'd have some fun. So
absolutely, love it. So I'm going to throw it back to J23. He's going to guide us out with some music, and also everyone, don't forget to check out today's show sponsor. Again, thanks for listening to the Deepak Saini Show. Exceptional results for the exceptional you. Till next time. Thanks, Rich. This episode is brought to you by Optimizers and their herbal parasite guardian product. Now, I don't take this too often, but if I'm going to Mexico or some other, Caribbean nation or someplace like that where, the food's maybe a little iffy, I will take this along with me and pop a couple of these after I have maybe a questionable meal, maybe from a food cart or something like that. So again, it's just something nice to have in the arsenal. So again, you can check out the link here and get 10% off this product or many of the other products that Optimizers has. I love their magnesium. I love their digestive enzymes and so on. So check it out. The link here for 10% off or more. Cheers.
Podcast produced by the Minted Green Company